So just tell me a little bit about your background yourself. I know that you started in the power industry and then as you moved into space, just fill us in a little bit of your kind of background.
I'm Sabine. I'm European, born and raised in Austria, Salzburg. I lived in 7 countries around the world. As you said, I started in the energy industry in 2006 and went through the entire value chain from taking oil and gas out of wells, delivering it to plants, transforming it into energy with turbines or engines. Then got a blue sneak into wind, solar power, including battery storage, energy storage, print distribution, covering the entire energy value chain, and also hydrogen power plants, I must not forget. Yeah, in my last role at General Electric, I was managing director for services and sales for undisrupted power supply for Central Europe, and then decided to found my own company with a team of fellow GE peers, and now here we are, 3 or 4 years later with We Global. We do management consulting, meaning we are looking into process optimization, helping our customers increase their revenues, profit, and gain competitive advantage. That's the professional side. On the personal side, I'm spending most of my times in the mountains. That's about it.
So skiing in the winter and walking in the summer.
Exactly. Hiking,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. Very good. And how did you develop an interest in space? And when did you develop an interest in space?
I didn't have this awakening moment. I feels like it's always been there. I think when you're some teenager and you start do stargazing, you realize your hormones and all the terrible stuff that's happening around you. It's not that important because if you just compare it with the sheer distances. And then since then, I'm just amazed. And this year, in one of our team meetings earlier this year, I once again showed the team pictures of Perseverance, explained them how Mars travel would look like, and they went, and like always, rolling their eyes. Come on, so that's not what we are working on. And then my dear colleague Mitya said, why don't you just look into space and see it as a potential market or profession we can also expand to it outside the energy and manufacturing industry? It's like, cool. So here I am 6 months later investigating how space and our traditional energy manufacturing industries could connect. And I do see a lot of potential. And I'm just surprised that not many more people are looking into existing space technology to increase their profits, their strategic positioning, their competitive advantage. So
Yeah,
quite fun.
most people just are not really that engaged with what's going on in space. Did you find the same thing with your peer group and colleagues outside of your immediate people that are involved in space?
Well, everybody is living in this old bubble, right? If you're a nitro power plant manufacturer, you just look around your microcosmos of suppliers, vendors, and buyers and customers, and so is space. It just is until today, and I think this will be changing, a very universe of itself. Just a normal thing for every industry, but I'm thinking it will expand definitely, and I think over time more and more industries will also be interested in working with space people. I mean, come on. Have you ever met a space person who's not super cool, relaxed, and loving his or her job? Who can walk over with those kind of people?
And I'm really intrigued by the kind of the connection between what's going on in space and kind of energy as well, and the Earth use for the technology that's being developed at the moment. How do you see that? Like, or maybe you could explain to me a little bit about what the Earth value of the current kind of investigation and research around energy production in space is. Where's the connection there?
Let me start a little bit more broader because then immediately we'll go much too much into details, because then it gets back to business cases and real life solutions that are maybe a little bit not too easy to explain in 2, 3 sentences. So I think
Okay.
what the industry, manufacturing industry and energy industry can benefit from space is definitely data management. If I'm not mistaken, Sentinel send 3 terabytes of data every day. That's about the amount some of our customers collect in 6 months from their installed base. So that's a big one. I'm also seeing maybe a little bit more midterm material usage. I think the NASA patent program is excellent. It's just that people need to know about it. And for us, it's also very difficult to find what kind of material is available and that could out. Plates are the same in a rocket similar as in
Hmm.
a turbine, or for example. And Earth observation, I think, is the nearest and easiest application, just because we're already used to the most famous maps providers. So we are used to seeing this technology in action. And then on the energy side, in addition, I think generating energy, there's a big hype on hydrogen generation. I think the space industry has a lot of experience. So I'm just surprised that nobody has built the connection yet, or I'm just unaware of it. I'm a big fan of space-based solar power. Um, Microfusion seems interesting, and also helium-3. Yeah, one way or the other, I think that is a potential energy source we could use. But this is said for what the energy industry can take from space industry. But I think also the space industry can benefit from the manufacturing industry. Uh, and I just give you an example of management. We do consult on project management because it's an entire value chain. You have suppliers, you have the customers, you have different locations. You need to bring same pieces together. Airbus is a good example in the space industry, but multiple locations, so it's very complex. And so it is, for example, for gas turbines, for hydrogen power plants. It's the same thing. It's just now the difference is, I think, that, and I say, my industry is doing this over and over again, building 200 turbines, not 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah.
So I think that there can be a good match where both of them learn from each other. And in addition, I think that what they call new space economy or new space industries, some of the companies reach a point where there is where the former startup setup, where it's just like in a room and having fun, will not work if you're having a employee, like a team of 60 or 80 people plus working for you. So you need structures, different organizational way, roles and responsibilities. Let me just get back real quick to project management. There's one famous Earth observation company in Europe, very well respected. I reached out to them and asked for partnership in mid of June. I got my first appointment now, 2nd of August. And in the meantime, I talked to 9 different people, and everybody apologizes that it seems like, oh, they didn't know who would pick it up. Like, and without knowing this company too well, I think they have the growth pain.
Yeah.
They grow too much,
Yeah.
too fast, and forgot to identify who is taking up the requests, who is distributing, who is following up on them. If there is additional information they need to collect from supporting functions, what's the timeline to get this information? What's the response time for a customer request? How do you structure the request so that you can learn for your future product development? So I think it's a win-win on all sides if they start collaborating more.
Yeah, that's really interesting perspective. So I'm going to paraphrase what I've heard just to make sure I've understood correctly. There's a lot of engineering going on in the space industry, which tends to be research and developmental engineering, but maybe lots of the engineering and project management lessons have already been learnt in the energy industry, because that was all, at some point, that was all developmental engineering. But that industry has moved into a much more high production industry now. And the space industry maybe is a little bit too internally focused. And maybe the engineers are just so focused on solving those particular problems that they could actually look outside and say, hey, there's somebody over here with project management experience that can really help us go faster, because they have experience in a analog type environment, which is in the energy. Have I got
The
that?
different maturity level
Yeah.
in different markets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's definitely people that have been through that situation before. They're just not in the space industry. They're in other engineering
Exactly.
industries. Very interesting. And in terms of the science of the energy, I think the obvious thing to most perhaps uneducated people is that, hey, why don't we just put big solar arrays in space and beam the energy back down to Earth? That seems totally logical thing to do. And until you start thinking about it and looking at it a little bit more. What in terms of energy production, where do you think the easiest win in terms of the connection to space and energy production is in the next, say, 5 to 10?
I think the easiest win for human mankind, first, to protect our planet and our climate, is to reduce our energy consumption. That's for them said. Everybody needs to be aware that they can contribute by just tiny little things. Is the energy industry is not known for being a very forward-thinking, revolutionary, innovative industry. So that said, the gas turbines, for example, is a technology that's been around for 60, 70 years.
Mhm.
Electric mode, like the electric cars, are around since the 19th century.
Yep.
The hydropower plant, same thing. The Pelton turbine was the first turbine in 1872, if I'm not mistaken. Same technology. So there's not a big difference.
Mhm.
Solar is a little bit newer. And I'm a big fan, as said, of solar in space. I'm not such a huge fan of solar on our Earth for various reasons. Just physics, basically. 1.4 kilowatt hours per square meter on a sunny day on Earth,
Mhm.
and 1.4 kilowatt. I don't have a single gadget in my house that hours with 1.4 kilowatt hours. Well, except I can low charge my phone. Yes, but that's about it. Will there be huge developments in the energy industry for new energy solutions? I don't think so. I see the revolutions mainly on the aviation side.
Okay.
Talk to many people in the aviation industry too, and they go looking into mind fusion. We keep on working on the fuel cells. Yes, we are already in space, so we could go there too. That I can see, as you can see, countries investing heavily in solar based, space-based solar power multinationals, and there are not many who can afford it going individually. Saudi Arabia could be one. China is doing it. UK is doing it, but trying to find
Mhm.
partners to finance the estimated 10 billion that is needed for proof of concept or for working 2 gigawatt space-based solar power. Yeah.
And how do you get the energy collected in space back down to Earth? Has that problem been solved?
So you can either microwave it or laser. That's two technologies that would work. Both have advantages and disadvantages. On the little I know as of today, laser seems to have troubles if we have a cloudy day. So microwave seems to be the go-to technology. Yeah. Is it possible? Absolutely. Would it work? Absolutely. It's just somebody needs to bring it up, and I think in Q3, Chinese will make a proof of concept that it's good.
Do you expect to go to space yourself? Is that something that you're thinking you will?
I'm planning to do a parallel flight
Okay.
sooner or later, so that's on my bucket item. think I necessarily need to go to space.
Yeah.
I think there are more people, other people are more curious about going to space.
What's the big news in your company then, in Remy Global, and what you're doing? What's the kind of the big project that you're working on at the moment?
So in medium to short, we do identify short-term, medium, and long-term projects. A short-term project is clearly helping our existing energy customer base to operate more efficient, meaning taking the most out of their equipment by understanding their equipment better. And one of the projects, I think I can even speak about it, is the hydropower plantation, where we would work with Earth observation teams on improving the construction site, facilitate the installation, increase or predict at least the lifetime of the turbine.
Okay.
So that is a valid project we're working on right now.
So if there was one parting thought that you'd like to leave with maybe the younger generation, what would that be?
I think my biggest awakening for myself, and that's why I wanted to share it with others, having lived the corporate life and doing all these things that you should do. You should be a good citizen and you should have a good career and a good education, which is all fine, but being yourself is the coolest and best thing ever. So if you ever get into a job and you drift away from yourself, maybe change the job. Don't ask. Don't question yourself.
Good advice. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much for your time to chat today.
It was a pleasure. Thanks, Dean.